Hello everyone and welcome back to your first English lesson after half term. Now I'm going to read through Arthur and the Golden Robe that we were looking at last term, and we will get back up to date to where we were in case you've forgotten where we got up to. So let's start off here. It says, "Hello dear reader and welcome to the Brownstone family vault. Within this room lie artefacts of great power and rarity collected over thousands of years from every corner of the globe. My most treasured possession is actually this humble collection of books. They contain tales of lands and creatures long forgotten, as told by the people who collected these amazing objects, my ancestors. They include such adventurers as Eleanor Brownstone's discovery of the Crystal Kingdom and her subsequent death-defying escape. And there she is. My great-great-grandfather Eric Brownstone's epic battle with the 100-headed snake, king of Tuckanuk Island. But before that, the first adventurer of Brownstone ever had was the tale of Arthur, the unlikeliest of heroes. Born long ago in a small Icelandic town, it was clear from an early age that Arthur was always going to be a little bit different. As soon as he was old enough to explore the forest, he showed a great interest in the strange creatures that lived there. At night, whilst the townsfolk would gather around the safety of the great fire, Arthur would sit and listen to Atrix, the town's wise woman. She would tell him wondrous and frightening tales about distant lands and ancient magic. Arthur soon began a journey into the forest in search of adventures. He even started to carry with him some of the more unusual items he had found. For returning her egg, the mighty bird Windweaver gave him a special feather that would grant him help at a time of need. By putting an end to the great, or rather tiny, war between goblins and fairies, he was given an enchanted staff. High in an ancient tower, he discovered the Hand of Time, which had the power to freeze anyone who touched it. And Atrix gave him his very first journal, I'm reading from it, after the most dangerous challenge of all, rescuing her cat from a tree. Okay, whoopsie-daisy. Moving swiftly on. One day while Arthur was attempting to track down a rare species of magical worm, he was startled by a terrible howl. A moment later, he was plunged into darkness as a huge black shape bounded over him and disappeared. Sorry, Mrs. Morgan wanted me there, girls and boys. A moment later, he was plunged into darkness as a huge black shape bounded over him and disappeared. Arthur quickly clambered up the nearest tree and poked his head over the top of the canopy. Right there, heading straight for his town, was a monstrous black wolf. He could only watch in horror as the wolf put out the great fire before it leapt back into the darkness of the forest. Arthur hurried back to the town and felt the cold close in on him. The final embers of the great fire were dying and everyone was huddled together as Atrix began to speak. Without the great fire warming our town, every house will be frozen solid in less than a week, Atrix warned, and all of us soon after. The townsfolk gasped in fear. But wait, there is a way we can be saved. Across the sea lies in the land of the Viking gods. In a mighty hall on top of a mountain, there lives a god with a hammer that can command the skies. He alone has the power to relight our fire. As the townsfolk looked around, they realised a slight problem with his plan. Everyone had been injured from the wolf, from their toughest warriors to their doughiest bakers. There was no one to send. "Arthur's not hurt," piped up one of his classmates. "I wouldn't be surprised if all his meddling brought the beast to us in the first place. He's much too small. He wouldn't last 2 seconds in the lands of the gods. And the only reason he has remained unhurt is because he spends all his time in the forest with those demons. Yes, he is a no-good meddler." That night, Arthur lay wide awake, the harsh words of the townsfolk running through his head. Maybe he was a meddler and had led the wolf straight to the town. Taking a deep breath, Arthur decided that he must go and find the God of Storms. Packing up his most useful possessions, he climbed out of his bedroom window and headed for the harbour. He had had many adventures in this forest. How much harder could this one be? And here we go, and this is today's piece of work. We have a lovely map, which you'll see on your worksheet, of Arthur's journey to the land of the gods. And here you can see his little town. Whoops, it's over that side, Mr. Nash. Here's his little town, and if you follow the dotted line, that will take you on his adventures. And if you look carefully, you can see there's a nasty-looking sort of kraken or octopus down here. There's some sort of shipwreck cove over here. Lots of strange little things, lots of nasty beasties, almost like a pirate ship. Oh, so there's it on this side. So we're going to look at his adventure, and I want you to write a nice description of the things he encounters during his adventure.
Okay, so here is the illustration. Arthur setting off from his little town in Iceland. He has gone past the lighthouse. He's gone past a house on a rock in the middle of the ocean. That sounds like a nice place to live. He goes past a nasty-looking kraken, octopus type thing, with its tentacles around his paddle. So maybe there's a sort of little mini sort of fight going on here between the two of them, because it looks like he's trying to steal Arthur's paddle for his little tiny boat. He goes past. And he goes past almost the shipwreck part over here, past maybe a god around here, around under the cove. This is a very strange looking monster. I wonder what this one is. It looks like a tortoise shell with some weird worm coming out of it. Maybe you could think of a name for that. There's a pirate ship here. I wonder if he evaded the pirates through almost like a strange Loch Ness monster and past a double-headed sea serpent. Okay, so some amazing little things in his adventure here. Really good opportunities for you to write some really creative pieces of writing, and all you're doing here is you are writing to describe Arthur's journey and some of the obstacles that he faces, using adjectives to describe the language. Terrifying, peculiar, strange. Time of verbs are going to be vital for this, because of course this tells you when it happened, first, second, after that, then. Synonyms for the journey travelled: journeyed, meandered, adventured. So some good synonyms there, So some good synonyms there for the word travelled. So rather than using then he travelled here, after that he travelled past, so you could say first he journeyed through the vicious and jagged rocks, then he meandered past the enormous, terrifying octopus, for example. The even better if is to see if you can use subordinate clauses to start this time a sentence. After escaping the twisted tentacles of the ferocious octopus, Arthur meandered, and I could actually improve this, couldn't I? Carefully through the razor-sharp rocks. Okay, so there's always a way that we can improve our work. So probably what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start with maybe him navigating, that's a nice word, navigating his way through. I'm going to call this Shipwreck Cove, because there's lots of ships that have been wrecked here. So I'm going to randomly, I'll start in the middle here. I'm going to say after that, comma, because when we have adverbs of time, often we need to include a comma straight after. After that, Arthur carefully and cautiously guided his boat through Shipwreck Cove, full stop. Now, if I examine my sentence, it's okay. After that, Arthur carefully and cautiously guided his boat through Shipwreck Cove. And I might put in here, actually, comma, being especially careful not to hit, or, I could think of a better word for hit in a minute. Careful not to hit one of the jagged and vicious rocks lurking below the surface of the water. Now, I've written it out, okay, I've kind of regurgitated this onto the page, and now as a year 4, I need to go through my work and see if it's the best possible sentence. Arthur carefully and cautiously guided his boat through Shipwreck Cove, being especially careful. Well, I've used careful twice, okay? Cautious, being especially, maybe you could think of a word there. I might say, would thoughtful work? No, I don't think thoughtful works in that sentence. So I'm a bit stuck here. Maybe at home, you could use this as one of your sentences and improve the word careful. Find a synonym in the thesaurus, because I don't want to use careful twice in a sentence. Not to hit one of the jagged and vicious rocks lurking below the surface, I'm going to say, of the murky water. Okay, because the water doesn't look maybe the most clean and see-through. It's quite a greeny colour, isn't it? So I'm going to say murky. Now, when I read this, again, I've got to make sure that I'm not putting too many adjectives in, because then if it's too many adjectives, it's very hard for your reader to breathe in the sentence. Okay, so this is the sort of thing I'm expecting. I'm probably expecting, let's think, 1, because he's setting out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 sentences here. But I don't want first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, because that will send me to sleep and I'll get into big trouble if I fall asleep at school. Okay, so really think about your timed adverbials. Go back to your success criteria each time. Think about journeyed, meandered, adventured. Okay, and what I'm going to leave here, I'll leave that sentence in, but I'm going to put that in a big yellow highlighter to show you that that's Mr. Nash's word. And the sentence I would like you to improve for your starter is, let me think of a silly sentence and a really boring one, because I want you to really improve some of these, because this will help you develop your writing. The cat lay on the mat. How dull is that sentence? So think about the cat. How are you going to describe it? Is it a furry cat? Is it a grumpy cat like Mr. Nash? What type of mat is it lying on? Maybe you could improve the word lay. Maybe you could start your sentence with an adverb of manner. Okay, quietly or peacefully, the something cat lay on the something mat. Okay, so that's your starter. Then I want your sentences. I said about 8 or 9 if possible, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your first bit of work back after half term. Thank you so much, guys, and I look forward to seeing you soon.